So I 24M work as a marine engineer and make a lot of money overseas. Out of curiosity, my girlfriend 24F asked me what kind of stuff I usually take with myself aboard the ship. So I listed out the stuff like a bunch of men's hygiene stuff, some of my favorite snacks, a bunch of socks, some waterproof winter gear, stomach medicine, etc. She went ahead and bought a bunch of that stuff for me yesterday and had it delivered to my place along with a note. I was honestly quite taken aback. It had quite a few expensive items, like a razor of high quality, some expensive shampoo, expensive winter gear and stuff, etc. Normally, I would have just appreciated the gesture and thought of something I would gift her in a while or so, but since I was leaving in a week, I was out of ideas and I couldn't have matched the amount she spent on me in such a short while. Meaningfully, so I took her out to dinner, thanked her for all that. I actually needed to buy quite a bit of that stuff, and then proceeded to wire her the bill amount the next day. Her reaction wasn't great. She was disappointed and said that it was a gift which shouldn't be paid back and stuff like that. I felt quite bad, but absolutely refused her from paying any of that money back. Normally, I wouldn't have paid this, but it was quite an amount, and I make a lot more money than her, so I felt awkward and was out of ideas. We're over it now though, but she's asked me to never do something like this again, and I've reluctantly agreed. I also kind of wanted to bring up the cost she put into the gift, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings at all. I'm not going to be able to talk to her for a month now, and I'm feeling bad that I fucked up this badly. I have the next 4 days before we don't see each other for 3 months. So well, AITA for paying her back money for an expensive gift, which I needed? Nah, I know you meant no harm, but would you write out a check for a birthday cake for your Christmas presents? She wanted to do something nice, and you turned her gift into a transaction which sorta cheapens the gesture. The dinner was a nice gesture, not the check writing ITA, but in an oblivious way. You turned her thoughtful gift into a chore you paid her to do. Story Hub. So just for some context, me, 27F, and my partner, 27 meters, have an 18-month-old daughter. We live in a top-floor flat in the south of England and have lived here for 3.5 years. Our previous neighbors below me moved about 5-6 months ago, and we now have new neighbors. They're a couple in their early mid-20s. I'd say for the purpose of the story, I'll call them John and Jane. We had seen them a few times in passing on the stairwell, and they seemed nice enough. A month or so ago, Jane knocked on the door and asked if it's possible that we could keep the noise to a minimum, as she works from home and can hear sounds in her living room and is trying to work. I told her I would do my best to accommodate her. However, I have a toddler that doesn't understand how to be quiet really, and so that may not always be possible. She seemed okay with that answer and went back downstairs. I have begun to place thick blankets on the floor in the living room and her bedroom to hopefully mitigate the sounds, and until recently, I thought it was fine. Well, recently my daughter has been sick with a chest infection, and it's been a rough time while she gets better. Last week, John came up and knocked on the door and began to complain about the noise again. I informed him that I've been trying my best to keep the noise down while she's playing, but there is only so much I can do. He then proceeds to tell me that that's not the issue, but my daughter crying is. I told him that I'm really sorry, but she's been unwell, and I can't stop her from crying when she's not feeling well. I explained that it's not something I can control, and I'm doing what I can because she's just not sleeping. He wasn't happy with the answer I gave him and started off on a tirade of really horrible things, calling me all the names under the sun and saying that I must be a shitty parent if I can't comfort her enough for her to stop crying. I lost it and told him that I refuse to be spoken to that way, and that I have been more than accommodating to him and Jane when it comes to my daughter playing, and that I'm sorry that I cannot control when my daughter cries. That I'm doing the best I can, and I wish I was also getting more rest. I then proceeded to call him a few more colorful names myself and slammed the door in his face. My partner was at work, so I called a friend of mine who said that although he agreed with me, I shouldn't have slammed the door in his face and should have tried to be more respectful of him, and that I should knock downstairs and apologize to him. So Reddit, AITA. Edit, a couple of people have asked, yes, my partner knows about what happened. I'm not usually a confrontational person and tend to back down a lot. I'm usually a little ball of anxiety. So he said that he's proud of me for standing up for myself. He's quite angry about it. He asked me not to talk to either John or Jane because, in his words, they don't deserve to talk to you or our daughter. He wants to get the police involved and was waiting on me to decide what I want to do. Also, I will send an email over to the letting agent and block management to let them know what's going on. Thank you, the people who wished my daughter well. We took her back to the doctor today, and she has been given some antibiotics to hopefully help clear the infection, so her breathing should start to get better soon. She's currently cuddled up with me watching some Bluey before I attempt to get her to eat some dinner. So it was a post on here yesterday with the opposite POV regarding a newborn and parents who were out of their minds and dealing with constant crying. The guy who posted was the person who went up to their neighbors and complained about the infant crying all day, and it kept their sick mother up at all hours. He then proceeded to berate the mom because in his opinion she wasn't doing enough. The child wasn't well and only came home after 3 months in the hospital. He was chewed out like you wouldn't believe. You're not the idiot. Your child is sick and you're already trying to accommodate them. Noise from neighbors is annoying, but people could do with a bit more empathy. I hope your child gets better soon. Not the idiot. I'm not sure how the law works in the UK. I'm assuming from your writing. But in the US, the law states that children are expected to make noise, and that as long as it is normal noise for a child, not bowling or playing a full drum kit for example, just walking, crying, running, playing, then there is nothing anyone can do, and people acting like your neighbors are actively harassing you. Children are not expected to sit quietly and do nothing. They're children. There is some noise involved with their existence. I suggest looking into your local law, find out exactly what it is, and armed with that information go to your landlord about them harassing you, and don't answer the door to them anymore. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to subscribe. My ex has been telling our children that he's going to bring me home so we can be a family again. It's confusing and upsetting our son who keeps insisting I go with him whenever he goes to visit his dad. I tried to speak to my ex, but he was ignoring all of my calls, and my son was getting more and more upset each time he had to visit his dad and I wouldn't go, so I finally told him that his dad was lying. He was devastated and angry with his dad since he's 5, so this was a huge betrayal to him. The last time my children went to see their dad, he apparently kept yelling at his dad and calling him a liar. It was so bad my ex sent them home early as our son kept getting himself worked up and making himself sick because he wanted to come home. My ex confronted me a few days ago after work. He wanted to know what I had said to our son to make him so upset with him. I told him what I had said and told him off for lying to our son. He's furious with me and has accused me of trying to turn our son against him. He claims I'm the one who's lying to our son and told me to think twice the next time I try to turn our son against him. Not the idiot, but please consider documenting these exchanges and his threats so you can show it to a lawyer. This is child abuse, emotional manipulation, don't know. But lying to his kid and then yelling at you for not going along with it is absolutely disgusting behavior. Oh sure, he says it's because you're turning his son against him, but in real-world language he's doing that to himself by lying. Even if he had hopes of getting back together with you, this seems like the worst way to go about it. Not the idiot. Story Hub. My husband's friend passed away months ago, leaving behind his widow wife. My husband considered him a brother, and so he began offering help to his widow and showing up literally every weekend. That's when he's off work, to help her with everything. It didn't bother me. I mean, not much, but still. Now he told me that it'd be nice if we invite her to Christmas dinner with us, since she has no family and other friends are busy. I refused, but he insisted, saying it means so much to her, especially since this is her first Christmas without her husband, and we should comfort her. I refused and said that it's supposed to be a family celebration and my family will show up, so there's enough guests already, but he said she is the one who needs this family atmosphere the most. I snapped and firmly told him I will not agree to let him invite her to Christmas dinner with us, and he needed to drop it, cause it made me uncomfortable. He argued then, started sulking about it, saying that I was being cruel for no reason, and that he wasn't asking for much, just an extra chair/plate for her. But I said it will be awkward for me and my family, especially since we're not so close. I really don't think spending a few weekends with someone who just lost their husband is, like, an excessive thing. My wife basically moved in with her best friend for a week after she got divorced, and I'm glad she did, because having friends and being there for them is good and normal, and to be celebrated. And remember, the husband is grieving too. There are two issues here. How much of a priority is your husband making this person? Is he still tending to his own marriage? Would you invite any other friend without a place to go for dinner? The second, I can't see the harm in. You're having people over, so one extra isn't a huge deal. But refer to question 1. Is your husband going to treat her as a normal guest, or is he going to spend the entire dinner catering to her? This deserves heartfelt and honest discussion between you two. No judgment. Story Hub.